Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out-of-this-world story from rSpace. Betrayal often comes in subtle forms, woven through small actions that at first seem insignificant. It forces people to confront the most difficult truths of their relationships. Today on rSpace, accept the hard truths. Wife said it was just a mistake, so I let her own that mistake while I took everything. My wife, Emma, 29, and I, 32, have been married for 5 years. We met in college and it was instant sparks. The chemistry was always there. We were that annoying couple that everyone groaned about because they were too in love. So we didn't waste time and got married after a year. Marriage was always great for us. We both earned well and had everything we wanted. We even started trying for kids a few months ago. This whole thing starts with her promotion. Last month, she finally got the promotion that she'd been waiting for a long time. It put her in a top management role with a dozen employees under her. The pay was great too. I still earned more than her, but it was a great boost to the household income. I didn't have a problem with it. It was all benefits to me, as far as I was concerned. The new job was demanding. She had a lot more responsibility and she was suddenly on the hook if things went wrong. She used to complain about how the upper management would chew her out if things didn't get done and how that was usually her coworkers' fault. Eventually, she stopped complaining and I thought that she was starting to get used to her job. If I asked her how her day was, she would just tell me everything was going fine. No news is good news, I figured. It's shocking how wrong I was. I had never met any of her coworkers, so I was shocked when I got a text message from someone who said she had worked with her. It came out of the blue one day while I was mindlessly scrolling on Reddit. His first message simply said he worked with my wife and he had something to tell me. My first thought was that I was about to get some bad news. Maybe there was some sort of incident at work. I had no idea how close I was. I asked who the person was and if everything was okay. He told me he wasn't comfortable giving out his name for his own protection, but I could call him Henry. He even put the quotations there himself. It's odd, but that made me less nervous. I asked if this was a prank and he said everything he was about to tell me was verifiable. Now, I was worried. If it wasn't a prank, then it sounded really serious. I had to hear him out. Henry told me that Emma was involved in a misconduct investigation at work. Apparently, she'd had an intimate relationship with one of the employees she'd managed. I couldn't believe it. It sounded like a bad joke. Misconduct? My Emma? No way. This guy had to be kidding. I asked him how he could prove it, and he sent some screenshots of some text messages. They were supposedly from the victim's phone. It detailed how she'd come on to him multiple times. From the messages, they eventually slept together at least once, and then the victim started responding less frequently. The other person, who Henry claimed was Emma, kept messaging him, asking why he was avoiding her. I stared at those screenshots for what felt like hours. The name on the messages was Emma Work, but there was no concrete way to tell if it was really her. But even with that, I knew. The tone, the writing style, everything felt like her. The commas were overused, and some of the typos were the exact same ones she made all the time. I asked Henry if he was the other person in the chat, the victim. He refused to answer and explained that the company was trying to keep it quiet to protect their image, but things were escalating because an official report had been filed. He said he came forward to me because he felt like I deserved the truth, and he knew Emma wasn't going to give it to me. It started sinking in that this wasn't just a workplace fling. Emma had abused her authority. From the text, it looked like she'd pressured the other person into sleeping with her. He'd resisted for a while, then given in, and started avoiding her. I couldn't believe it. If this was true, Emma was in a heap of trouble, and I wasn't going to be on her side. The other person was a victim, but so was I. She cheated on me. That is, if this was all true. I needed to verify it for myself before I could figure out what to do next. When Emma came home, I almost couldn't look at her. I tried to keep things normal, but asked how work was. She gave me the same, fine, and I came to the realization. I thought her job was getting easier, and that's why she'd stopped complaining. But it was possible she'd stopped confiding in me because she was attracted to someone else. And the irritability that she'd been showing the past few days could have been because of the investigation that was going on. If my job was in dire straits and I couldn't talk to my spouse about it, I'd be irritable too, especially if I was scared that he would find out. Unfortunately for her, I knew. So I did some digging. I waited until she'd gone into the bedroom, and I pulled out her laptop. I'd never done this before, but I went through her work emails. Sure enough, there was an official email from a few days before informing her that an investigation had been started into a report made against her. What really shocked me was that she'd been temporarily suspended. Henry hadn't mentioned that. Maybe he thought I already knew about that. I shut the laptop and sat with my head in my hands for a few minutes. I felt like I didn't know who this woman was. She'd been suspended, but she was still pretending to go to work every day. Where was she going when she went out? I took a photo of the email and kept looking. There was an email from a coworker asking if the rumors were true. She didn't answer it. It wasn't really evidence of any sort, but I took a picture of that too. I checked her personal email, but all I found were job applications. She knew her time with the company was over. To me, that was a clear sign that she knew she was guilty. I took pictures of those too. I couldn't find anything else on her computer, so I turned it off. Her phone was in the room with her, and I knew I wasn't going to get a chance to go through that easily. But I had another idea. Cue to today. I took the day off. I didn't let her know though. She wasn't the only one who could lie about going to work. When she left for the office, I followed her. It wasn't hard. I kept a good distance behind her, but she never checks her mirrors really nearly enough. She stopped at the coffee shop. I watched her get in, sit down, and pull out her laptop. Was that it? She didn't have a job anymore, so she was pretending to work all day? How long was she planning to keep this up? She stayed there for a few hours, typing away, applying for more jobs, I guessed. I got tired of sitting around and watching her. I was pretty certain that Henry had been telling the truth now. I wasn't going to wait around and let her keep lying to me. I was going to confront her right here, where she couldn't sell me any lies. I walked up to where she was sitting and took the seat across from her. She almost jumped out of her own seat when she saw me. She quickly composed herself and asked what I was doing there. It was impressive how casually she was able to talk after being scared out of her skin like that. I didn't beat around the bush. I asked her what she was doing there and why she didn't go to work today. She answered without a bit of hesitation, telling me that she'd gone to work and she just came here for lunch. Then she asked again why I was there. She was playing it cool, but I knew her well enough to tell that she was worried. I told her that I'd followed her here, all the way from home. She hadn't gone to work today. She hadn't been up to work in a while, had she? She sat silent for a while, probably trying to come up with an excuse for why she wasn't going to work anymore. I put her out of her misery and told her that I knew why she wasn't going to work. I saw the email on her computer. She'd been suspended while her investigation was going on. She jumped on that and told me that it was all untrue. There were baseless accusations, according to her. Someone was trying to ruin her image. I asked her if she was seriously trying to blame her pathetic attempt at an affair on some conspiracy. She said there was no attempt at an affair. She'd made an innocent comment and someone was spinning it the wrong way. I was tired of watching her lie to my face, so I put an end to the farce. I told her that I'd seen the texts between them. This wasn't about inappropriate comments. She'd pressured a guy into sleeping with her, and now she was facing the consequences at work. It was just the beginning. There were consequences to face at home, too. She grabbed my hand and begged me to reconsider. She claimed it had only happened once, and that it was just a mistake. She didn't know what had gotten into her, but she'd never done it again. I reminded her that I'd seen the messages. The only reason it happened once was because the other person started avoiding her. It wasn't a mistake because she had tried to make it happen again. I shook her hand off mine and stood up. I was going home, and she was free to come back to pick up her stuff. But she wasn't sleeping under the same roof as me. She could find somewhere else to stay. I honestly didn't care where. I feel like she's a complete stranger to me. I don't know this woman, and I can't stay another day in the same house as her. I don't even feel safe around her. She hasn't come home yet, and I'm not sure what I'll do if she does. The version of her you knew, the one you married, built a life with, started planning for a family with, that version didn't do this. This is someone else entirely. And honestly, you're right to protect yourself, OP. You're right to say she doesn't get to stay in your house, sleep under your roof, and pretend like she didn't torch everything you two built together. Don't forget that you did nothing to deserve this. You were supportive, trusting, and present. You gave her space to grow in her career and were genuinely happy for her success. And she turned around and used that opportunity to blow up your life. That's on her. Update. Emma didn't come home that night. She came back the next day and told me that she'd spent the night with her friend to give me some space. She asked if we could talk about what had happened. I said there was nothing to talk about if she wasn't ready to tell me the truth. She sat down and told me that she'd developed a crush on one of the employees working under her. They'd engaged in some harmless flirting, which she insisted that he'd reciprocated. Then one night, they'd stayed late. One thing led to another, and they had slept together. Again, she called it a mistake, the worst mistake she'd ever made, and she'd regretted it every day. He'd regretted it too, and he'd reported her shortly after. I said it was a nice story, but the text messages clearly show that she was the one who had pursued him. It didn't look like a two-sided thing, and even if it had been, there was a power imbalance. She was his boss. That made the whole thing messy in so many ways. And then there was the one thing that I couldn't let slide. She'd been flirting with another guy and eventually slept with him. I didn't care if it had only happened once, and I didn't care if she regretted it in the end. She cheated on me. It was a mistake, like she kept claiming. It was something she'd pursued continuously until she eventually got caught. And now that it was biting her in the butt, she was talking about regret. She went quiet after that. She didn't argue and stopped trying to justify it after that. I think it finally sank in that there was nothing she could do or say that would make me forgive her. she started crying, hard. She was sobbing and shaking, and I didn't care a bit. I couldn't feel anything for her anymore. It's like she was dead to me. She asked if I was going to divorce her. I said yes and told her that I had already started looking for a lawyer. And just like that, she fell apart. She literally got on her knees and begged me not to leave her. She said I shouldn't throw everything away over a one-time mistake. She said she'd fix it. She'd leave her company. She'd even go therapy. I told her that I'd never be able to trust her again. She kept begging, but I was done. I told her to pack her stuff and get out and go back to her friend's house. Watching her cry wasn't making me feel sorry for her. It was just exhausting me. I think she realized she was wasting her time because she got up without a word and went to get her stuff. After a while, she came down with 2 bags fully packed. She carried them over to her car. I didn't offer to help. I spoke to a lawyer the next morning. Given the nature of her infidelity and the dishonesty behind it, my lawyer said he was certain he could get me a favorable divorce settlement. He asked me to gather all the evidence I had, the messages from Henry, the email about her suspension, and the proof that she'd been pretending to go to work. He said we were going to use everything. I also brought up the fact that we'd been trying for kids. My lawyer said it just made things worse for her because it showed that she'd been planning a future with me while betraying me behind my back. Everything painted a picture of a woman who lied to her husband and abused her power with her subordinates. He said it would be brutal and asked me if I was sure I could go through with it. He explained that he understood that I was hurt, but it was going to be difficult for me to watch a woman I used to love have her character torn to pieces like this. I told him that I was looking forward to it. He nodded, and we continued with our plans. Emma tried to contact me a few times after she left. I didn't respond to her texts, but I read them. They were all over the place. Some were apologetic, some were angry, and some were begging for me to come back to her. She even had the nerve to call me cold-hearted for not giving her a second chance after her mistake. It was like she thought that word magically undid everything. My lawyer moved fast. The moment the papers were ready, we served her at her friend's place. She called me after that, and I answered this time. She told me she was devastated that I was still going through with it. I just told her it was the only way forward for us. Meanwhile, my lawyer found out that she had resigned from her job. I checked her LinkedIn, and sure enough, she was open for work. I was worried that would affect me negatively. If she didn't have a job, then the court would be likely to order me to pay alimony, right? My lawyer insisted that wasn't necessarily true because of the nature of how she'd lost her job. It turned out he was right. He was right about a lot of things. I basically walked away with everything. There was no alimony. Thankfully, we hadn't had children yet, so there was no custody or co-parenting to deal with. The house had been in my name for a long time. My grandmother had left it to me when she died, back when I was 16, and we moved in after I got married. She couldn't touch it. I got a large chunk of our shared finances and investments. I took everything, and she walked away with almost nothing, just her possessions, a sliver of her savings, and her car. And I fought for the car, but she'd made enough of the payments that the court decided she should keep it. During mediation, her lawyer had fought hard to fight for a fair division of assets. The way I see it, it turned out more than fair. She deserved absolutely nothing, but she still walked away with a little. Even her pride hadn't been spared. My lawyer had countered every one of their claims with every document we had. By the time we were done, it was clear to everyone who she was. She was deceitful, predatory, and unfaithful. Some days, she left the hearings in tears. She hadn't contacted me after the divorce, but according to her LinkedIn, she still hasn't found work. I'm not surprised. Word spreads among companies, and she was probably radioactive now. No reputable company would touch someone with her track record. I never heard from Henry again. I tried to message him, but he never replied. I don't know if he was the victim, a friend of the victim, or just someone from HR with a sense of justice. Either way, I'm thankful for him for doing the right thing. It must have been hard, especially with his job on the line, but it saved me from a lot of pain down the road. I've started therapy now, not because I miss her or I'm heartbroken, far from it, but I've been carrying a lot of anger over the whole issue. There was a sense of relief when I finally got cut free from her, but I still can't get over the anger of the betrayal. I've been trying to cope on my own, but I can admit that I need some professional help dealing with it. I don't want to hurt anyone else like she hurt me. Apart from that, I'm moving on with my life. Without her, she said she had made a mistake. And she was right. But just because you made a mistake doesn't mean you're entitled to forgiveness. But she sure did face the consequences of her actions, and I loved it. Calling it a mistake over and over doesn't magically undo the damage. She thought her regret could fix everything. That if she cried enough and offered you enough promises to change, it would undo what she had done. Her decisions led her here, not you. She's the one who destroyed everything, and now she has to deal with that. What's the line between supporting your partner and losing yourself in the process? Can someone truly be happy in a relationship if they feel like they've sacrificed too much? Thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon.